Knobbelboy's Bloodlust verification is the greatest verification in Geometry Dash history. It took nearly 2 years, had one of the worst fails in the game's history, and was the first level that someone spent over 100,000 attempts on. Along with that, the level was nearly stolen from him because a top player believed that he took long enough. Bloodlust began development not long after Sonic Wave Infinity was started by Riot. Similarly to Riot's desire to make a 2.0 remake of Sonic Wave, Manix648 wanted to make a 2.0 remake of Bloodbath. On March 26th of 2016, Manix released the first official preview of Bloodlust, with the description, "Are you ready to return?" Now oddly enough, this video is pretty obscure. It only has 8,000 views right now, and little did people know it would end up becoming one of the most iconic levels in the entire game. A week later, he would post another preview, this time showing Michigan's Bloodbath part in the Bloodlust style. A week after that, another preview came, this time replacing a Sonic Man's ball part in Bloodbath with a Heinz-inspired swing copter segment. In the description, he mentioned that the level was already at 69,000 objects, causing the community to believe it would be one of the most item-heavy levels in the entire game once it's complete. Manix would post one final preview mentioning the level's name in the title for the first time, Bloodlust. He had streamed himself plenty of times building the level, but this was the first time YouTube had seen the name of the level. The only other time Manix would post about Bloodlust was the ending art piece of Terraria's Blood Moon. At this point, the level would be sent to Quasar, who was believed to be the original verifier, since he was the first to beat Bloodbath. This was only 1 month after he beat Bloodbath, and he was already buffing parts of Bloodlust to make it harder. The first preview of Bloodlust on his channel would get a ton of views, finally pushing the level into the mainstream community. For his second preview, he mentioned that it was almost as hard as Yatagarasu. And in the third preview in late May, this was the first time we saw Quasar admit that he wasn't the perfect Geometry Dash robot that everyone believed he was. He admitted that he had taken time off the game due to school and hand pain from the game, and it wouldn't stop there. In mid-August, after no further progress runs on his channel, he would post a video called Goodbye. He mentioned how he was far too busy with school and that the pain in his hand wasn't healing because of this, causing him to pretty much quit the game altogether. He was officially dropping Bloodlust. With Bloodlust pretty much finished at this point, Manix was now looking for a new verifier of the level. He came across Knobbelboy, a Dutch player who was the 9th victor of Bloodbath and a really talented creator. Because there were other players who were viewed as better than him at the time, he was doubted by a lot of people. Knobbelboy did end up picking up the level in late August or early September of 2016, announcing that he was officially verifying Bloodlust. He would right away start practicing on stream, posting a new record of 36% on September 8th, just a week after he started the level. Just a few weeks after that, 65 to 92, a huge run of him nearly completing the entire extension of the level. This quick progress showed the haters that he really did have it in him, and most believed his progress would continue at this quick pace. About 3 weeks after his good extension run, he'd post a new record of 43%. Not huge progress, but it was showing that he was consistent. In between his next progress runs, he would post a completion of Athenados, one of the hardest demon levels at the time. And then a month after his previous Bloodlust progress, he would post a new record of 52%. At this point, the streams in progress slowed down a tiny bit, and he would verify an Extreme Demon Artificial Ideology, as well as some other YouTube videos showing off his talent with creating. In February, he would post 63%, about 5 months after he began working on the level. This was pretty solid progress, and only a few weeks later he got a new best at 68%, officially getting to the extension for the first time. In late March, a run from 65 to 100, beating the full extension, and less than a month after that, 18 to 85, a massive run. About a month after that, in early June, he would get 76%, commenting on his recent consistency and mentioning how the end is near. At this point, he had spent over 100,000 attempts on the level. 3 days later, on June 9th, tragedy.
What the fuck?
98%, the worst fail in the game's history. He was so consistent that week, and a fail that far into the level was enough to totally mess him up. In the next 2 months, he would get 97% twice. There's a compilation of Knobbelboy's rages in the 2 months after his 98% fail, and it's genuinely hard to watch. This was clearly a guy suffering, and even with him commenting on the video saying it was fun to watch, the community felt so bad for him. With so much consistency over these few months, yet so many devastating fails, Knobbelboy would end up taking a break from the level for his own good. For the next 5 months, he would upload previews of new levels, but no Bloodlust progress. He would occasionally stream, but for his own sake, he didn't spend nearly as much time on the level as before. However, because of this, a lot of people in the community believed he had quit, or at least was going to take too long to verify the level. And this is when one of the biggest controversies in the game took place. At this time, some people wanted Bloodlust to come out, and they believed Knobbelboy just wasn't a fit verifier for the level. He had taken a year and a half at this point, and with no progress in 5 months, people believed there needed to be a new verifier. In early February of 2018, one of the top players at the time, Quasar, stole a copy of Bloodlust and was making progress on it on stream. Pretty quickly, he was able to beat the entire extension, and he was growing an audience of people who were rooting for him to be the new verifier of the level. Quasar said that Knobbelboy was taking far too long to verify the level, so he was going to verify a copy himself. The community was super divided at this point, but the majority of people were defending Knobbelboy. Some other top players at the time, such as Sunix, managed to get a copy of the level as well and make some good progress on it too. Quasar also said that he was going to steal Bloodlust because Knobbelboy stole a level called Fusion Z from Manix. This was a pretty big mega collab at the time and being the final level in the Fusion series. However, Manix did quit the game and he really didn't want the level to be uploaded. Knobbelboy and some of the other creators of the level got into a big argument that Manix just couldn't cancel the level that a bunch of builders worked so hard on. Because of this, Knobbelboy tried to take ownership of the level so he could assign a new verifier for it so the level wouldn't go to waste. Quasar used this controversy to say that since Knobbelboy stole Fusion Z, it was only fair for him to steal Bloodlust from Knobbelboy. Eventually, Quasar would apologize and stop attempting to verify the level, inspiring the others to pretty much do the same. This whole controversy motivated Knobbelboy though, because after an extended period of no progress, only a few weeks after Quasar started making his progress, Knobbelboy would finally do it. After 121,296 attempts, Knobbelboy had finally verified Bloodlust. His suffering was over. 2 years in the making, some of the worst, heartbreaking fails ever. He'd finally done it. At a point where most would have given up, he didn't, and this verification would go down in history. Bloodlust was quickly rated epic and placed at the top of the demons list, where it would stay for the longest time at that point, over a year. The only time before that another level had stayed at the top for more than a year was Bloodbath, and Bloodlust's 383 days at the top would only be beaten by Tartarus a few years later. Now unfortunately, the controversies didn't end there. After Bloodlust was rated number 1, a few pro players such as Endlevel and Skullo believed that Plasma Pulse Finale should have been top 1 and Bloodlust should have been placed second behind it. Knobbelboy did have the majority of the community support here, and to defend him, a lot of players went and rated Plasma Pulse Finale Insane Demon, pushing its rating down from extreme to insane to prove a point that Bloodlust was harder. The story of Bloodlust is one of the most legendary in the game's history, and I definitely think it takes the cake as the greatest verification in the entire game. People to this day still wonder what would have happened had Knobbelboy never failed at 98%. The level would have been out 8 months earlier, meaning it would have lasted at the top for close to 2 years and Knobbelboy wouldn't have lost his sanity. I also wonder what would have happened if Quasar didn't have to worry about his school or hand pain and didn't quit. I wonder if he would have kept buffing the level, or really, how long the verification would have taken him. Today, Bloodlust sits at number 83 on the demon list, and it has been completed by 445 players. In the past 3 years, Knobbelboy has only uploaded once, with a preview of an extreme demon he's working on, Orochi. In the description of this video, as for his absence, he cryptically says, "I got more to say about that another time," saying that he's been working on some other things. It's fair to say that Knobbelboy went through absolute hell verifying Bloodlust, and it surely affected him for the years of his verification and afterwards. But despite that, he will forever be viewed as a legend in the community.